Good morning and a warm welcome, and thank you for keeping it right here on Sunrise at Sea. The conversation in regard to the registration of bodas continues. Of course, this comes as a directive where the State Minister for Kampala Metropolitan Area, that is Mr. Fred Togabye, gave a directive and gave an ultimatum up to the 1st of March for all bodas to register. And that is the conversation that we are going to have this morning, with bodas saying the money is too much, while others are saying the timing is wrong. And the Lord Mayor, however, did drag the government of Uganda to the High Court, saying this particular initiative is actually illegal. Joining me at the center of this conversation is a gentleman I'm sure that is very familiar to your eyes, is none other than Mr. Ricky Papa, CEO and founder of Safe Boda Uganda, the easiest and fastest means of transport in Uganda. Good morning, Ricky.
Good morning. How are you
very
doing?
excited to have you this morning.
I am humbled to be here this morning. I felt like you were truly representing Safe Boda. Yeah.
I am now the ambassador very soon. But anyway.
You're the official PRO.
Officially. Well, let's dive into the conversation, Mr. Ricky Papa. Now, the State Minister for Kampala Affairs, that is Mr. Togabye, intends to eliminate, and of course this was a message that he passed on, eliminate all bodas who have not registered. What are your thoughts on this particular directive?
Yeah, on this spot, I'm actually sure the people of Uganda are there watching, including the minister himself, because these people are usually aware of our thinking and our perspective about this matter. And I'm also happy that the Safe Bodas riders and passengers and our customers are actually watching. The reality is, first is we so much believe that this government, under the able leadership of President Yoweri Museveni, is a democratic government. That definitely means should be the government for the people, by the people. We have the executive, we have the parliament, and we have all sorts of tools that we need for running this government. Sometimes saddened me that we get to deal with a lot of directives that are actually not going to work because it misses a few components. You sometimes want to be careful of what you even have to say, especially even when you are in the position of power, because it ends up following you. We have seen people in position of power saying statements and then extracting them or earning themselves transfer prematurely. And I'm not saying I'm threatening anybody, but I'm just saying I think it's fair that in one way or the other we work for the people, not treat people as if they are irrelevant. I want to give you a bit of a background. Boda industry has been in existence for over 20 years.
Yes, since the 1970s.
Yeah. Some of the people are saying bodas should leave. We're not there. But government was there. We built this industry from the time we found it, and we have supported it to become what it is today. The industry has not grown because it wants to grow, but the industry has grown because it must grow. You have a lot of young people who have graduated from different universities across the country. They don't have jobs. You have people who have graduated with degrees and they're doing what they have not studied. You have a lot of young people who have been there out of universities 3, 4, 5 years. They don't have what to do for a living. Boda has become a big point of absorption for some of these young people. Of course, you also have underprivileged, some people who have been unlucky in life that they didn't have all the chances to go and get a degree, but they have also been absorbed by the boda. You know, some people don't realize that boda is a big player in this country, and it's a big contributor. Statistically, you're looking at an industry that accounts for 10 to 15% of Uganda's GDP. You're looking at the second biggest employer of young people after agriculture.
The youth, yes.
The youth. So you're looking at Uganda, which actually the largest population, close to 85%, are young people. Now, if you are not a young person and you're acting against the young people, you will be the enemy of young people. That's for sure. So what do I make of the directive? I think government, for the last couple of years since we came into existence, we've been engaging. In the first place, I think this directives is very, very discriminative in nature. Border industry does not start from Kampala and does not end in Kampala. That's like the unfortunate thing that we get to see. That people, like some people tend to say, border only in Kampala, border only in Kampala. But we have border as far as Dokolo, where I come from. We have border as far as Arua. We have border as far as Kabale, right?
Yes.
What are we planning to do with those borders? Because Ministry of Works and Transport needs to have interest. In 2020, around March, Ministry of Works and Transport did an amendment in the 1998 Act that then gave them powers. Parliament made an amendment in the 1998 Road Safety Act that then gave them the power to actually they gave the mandate to the Minister of Works and Transport to actually regulate the border industry. During the lockdown, we have been doing having a lot of consultative meeting with the technical people and political people at the Ministry of Works and Transport to see how we can enforce a better regulation for the borders. Consultants were hired. We've been involved in all this discussion. Why can't we talk about where that regulation is? Recently, a lot of regulations were passed in Parliament. Where is the one for border? Where is it lying? We're not saying we're against regulation. We want regulation. But we want regulation that is fair, that is just, that is pro-people. We are tired of being in a country where most of the regulation and directives are against people. I was watching a tweet this morning of a RDC in Otuke who ordered for a slashing of hundreds of acres of rice plantation in Otuke. And I'm just wondering, in a country where people, where I come from, people are actually boiling mangoes and having it for breakfast, for lunch and supper. And you go ahead cutting a plantation of food. I don't understand what these things are about.
Oh dear.
So when someone says of the 200,000 borders, you only want 7,000, what do you mean? Okay, where are we going to be? Give us an option. People are not saying they don't want to leave the border industry, but we are also stuck with the border industry, right? It's our source of employment. I mean, every border earns on average around 50,000 shillings. This means at the end of the month, a border earns between 1.2 to 1.5 average, right? Which job do we get today that pays you that? If you walk into reception, maybe to be a reception or a call center agent, you'll be paid between 400 up to 600,000 shillings. Most of these people are degree earners. They own degrees. They have graduated from universities. A borderman possibly is even not a graduate from a university, but is able to earn around 1.5 and take care of his family. So this is a big source of employment, and I really think that whoever wants to do anything in the industry must actually have enough information and must have involved the people in the industry. Safe Border alone, today as we speak, we have been able to recruit and train over 25,000 people. So if you really said you want 7,000, where are we going to put the rest? Are we going to bring them to your office? You definitely see that there is already a problem with all this kind of arrangement, and there is a possibility these things are not really going to work very well, because if it's not for the people and it's against people, then people will act against it, and the end result is it might actually fail. We are also wondering, who is doing the registration? Because here in the media, you guys are telling us, who is doing the registration? KCCA. Are we registering in any of the KCCA offices? Please, people in the media, tell us. You know, because also this, from the information we have on table, it looks like a project. It doesn't look like an initiative that is being supported by KCCA. We wrote to KCCA through our lawyer, through our counsel and the law firm that work with, KTA Advocates. They wrote to them to inquire what is actually going on, how can we be of help? And the response was clear. You know, they are even distancing themselves from the activities that are going on. You go to Ministry of Works and Transport, we have written to the Commissioner, Winston Katushabe, we are like, what is going on? We've written to the Minister, we are like, the Cabinet Minister. We haven't received a response. We have written to the Minister in charge of Transport, we are like, what's exactly going on? How can we be of help? How can we better organize our people? We're not getting any clear response. KCCA seems to actually say they are not fully aware of these activities. When you talk to a few people, even within KCCA, they are not coordinated. activities that are run by government, it's actually run in government facilities. You know, when KCCA did the registration of Boda, it was announced officially via the media. All of you people were aware. Media covered it. They know the registration point. They know how long the registration was going to take, the purpose of the registration, possible outcome of the registration. These things were announced clearly.
So you're looking at transparency in the process already as an issue, even before the initiative of takes off properly.
I told the people, why are you confusing and scamming people during broad daylight? Because how were even the service providers recruited? You know, we are aware people don't want to talk about these things, but this is a reality. People see opportunities to possibly get something out of the industry and they go for it. We have seen activities and we have seen political people who use violence, who use threatening as a means of getting things to be done, right? We are aware that, okay, so let's ask ourselves, how was the service provider procured? Because we all have the capacity and the capability. We all have the technical know. How was the service provider procured? Because this was for the industry. The directive that came from the meeting that happened between the different leaders of bodas and General Katuma Wamala was to say, please organize yourself. It did not say, please work with this company, I have procured it, let them register you. Do you know how much these bodas are paying? 60,000 shillings. For what kind of information? Their name, birth of date, and the stage where they live and all this kind of biodata.
Even in the Twitter jobs, the very first segment, I was discussing with my colleague, and some of the grievances that boda riders in the Kampala metropolitan area pointed out is that when they pay this money, there is no medical personnel to check, for example, their eyesight, to check their mental health. It is just money paid.
You can't come to media and tell people that you're going to check the head of the boda man. Like, it doesn't work like that. You're checking the mental ability of a boda man in the playground. Is that even medical in nature? So, like, what are you doing? Because, okay, high sight, like my eyes. So where am I? I've been to the field. I came riding, actually, my boda, right? Because usually, you know, anyone who has an eye problem will go to the hospital and possibly get an eyeglass and something like that to be able to come. Because you can't, if you're short-sighted, you're short-sighted. If long-sighted, you're long-sighted. There's no way you're going to risk your life riding a boda if you know you cannot see.
Yes.
Practically. So there's, even with the fufu, what is the fail rate? Because we come riding with the fufu, if there are people, group of people with the strongest eyes in this country are the boda men. Because fufu and swear and sera, all these kind of small insects, boom, and they clean our eyes. So you're telling us you're checking their eyes? Good. You're checking their mental ability, like you're checking my brain.
I want to know if you're mentally okay. Are you mentally okay upstairs?
No, like please, like, you know, Uganda, there are things that you definitely see, and then what is the 60,000 going to do? Where is it going? We're paying 60,000 shillings for a card. A card is for how long? What is the card that we are receiving? So the card that is being issued is for what? For identification? For learner's permit? For training? For mind testing and eye testing? For what? For what? Mutubulide. Because these are questions that you should actually be asking those people. For what? Like, what is the 60,000 we are paying for? And what is the card going to do?
Accountability. Someone needs to be accountable, held accountable. And this is something I was saying. Because even as this process is going on, who is being held accountable? This is the time that
government should have actually gotten up already. Because, okay, they are collecting money from Ugandans. Because you know for sure, if money is going to URA, you get an assessment. So they are collecting money, 6,000. If they said they have recruited 4,000 last time, that is 240 million. So where is it? Who is benefiting from that? I actually mentioned this statement and I actually got some issues. Some people were calling me. They're like, Ricky, you don't have to talk about this. I said, this must be a project. They're like, no, Ricky, you don't have to talk about that. We're going to come after you. I'm like, don't worry. I have my board. I mean, don't even worry about it. Because what I'm saying, I have information and facts to it.
Okay.
You don't just do things like that. We are under able leadership, and we know the different institutions work. What might come out of this? You might actually find individuals being dragged to court because they're taking money from the public. But for what? Where did you see that the cabinet wrote a resolution that said do this, do that? And some of these things, a government makes a recommendation. The law needs to be passed. Let us stop these things of robbing people, stealing people, extorting money from the population. Let's have a clear regulation that defines our roles and the things that we are supposed to do and our responsibilities. Where is our regulation for the border? But this is what we are asking. We are tired of these illegal operations of individuals in the names of President Museveni. You only say, President has directed, President has directed, President has directed, and the President is not there. The President doesn't know what's going on. Does the President know that we are paying 60,000 shillings for filling a biodata form that is worth 50 shillings? Because we're paying 60,000 shillings for a biodata that is worth 60,000 shillings. No, we're paying 60,000 shillings for a biodata that is worth 50 Ugandan shillings or 100 shillings. And where is this money going? So these are simple questions. We have told our safe borders to go and register. Simple.
Okay, so my next question would be, and of course as CEO and founder of Safe Border, the move intends, and I know you highlighted it at the beginning, the move intends to reduce border borders from 200,000 to actually 7,000 border borders.
We don't even care about that. You know.
But how is this going to affect the border business?
No, that's not going to work. First, don't even waste your time on that. Okay. That's not going to work. First thing first. The second thing is, you don't just reduce number from 200,000 to 7,000. Tell us where you plan to take these people. It is as simple as that. Like, we shouldn't even be discussing anyone saying they're reducing border borders from 200,000 to 7,000. They didn't, like, you know, the people that you didn't bring in the industry, like, you know, unfortunately, I usually tell people, you did not bring these people. If you think you will take them out of the industry just by making a statement, you're joking. It is the most easiest thing to see that it's impossible to do. Because assuming you have 10 children, you wake up tomorrow and you're like, of the 10, I only want 3, the rest of the 7, you go away. How do you do that? You need to follow the process of abandoning your own. So please, let's follow the due process of abandoning or taking the borders out of the industry. Tell us where we're going. It is as simple as that. Government should have a plan of where these people are going to go. If you don't show us a plan of where these people are going to do, they're going to force themselves and provide a plan of where they're going to go. Either we find where you're going to go and we remain, or you find us where we're going to go and then you implement what you want to implement. It's that simple. Okay.
You highlighted and mentioned that you asked your Safe Border boys, and you said it in your own words, not actually to go ahead with the registration.
Yes, we are over 25,000. We are over 25,000. Register your 7,000 and ours are already over 25,000. Tell us where these people are going to go. We can't. What process are we going to use to actually say this one should remain, this one should not remain? We need to have a long-term strategy of how the border industry is going to operate, not a short-term quick fix of how to make money from the border industry. No.
So in your capacity, what should have been the right thing to do?
First thing first is that we are tired of having discussions with people who don't know what the industry is about. And the most important thing is that we need to have a proper regulation, which government is already in the process. The regulation clearly stipulates and clearly articulates how the border industry is going to run. Without the regulation, it's going to be difficult for us to have any discussion, because this has been the outcry of the border for the last 20 years. We have been ignoring a very important industry. And that is not how things are supposed to be. Because now, these things, the current discussion is economical, right? Where we're saying, this is our source of income, where are we going to go? The next set of discussion will become political, right? Where the leaders of Kampala will start fighting for the border men who are actually their voters. And if it turns to political, what are you going to do? So the thing here is Parliament, and I call upon Honorable, Right Honorable.
Who are we referring to? Are we referring to Mr. Fred Chofa Togabia or the Speaker of Parliament?
Yeah, the Speaker.
Right Honorable Speaker of Parliament.
Right, yeah. Honorable Speaker of Parliament, Madam Anita Mong.
Yes.
Please check in your files and let's follow up and let's fast track the process of the border regulation, because we are sure the consultation has been done. Let's have the law enforced. Let's have the law signed. Let's have the law activated. In that way, life of Ugandans and life of these young people who are in the border will be much more secured, will be much more better, will be at peace. Okay. And you will have saved us a lot of trouble, because right now we are getting in the position where people are asking us to actually say things that we shouldn't have said. Chofa is our good friend, right? As Safe Border, we know Chofa is a good leader, is a very good friend, but then the discussion of pushing us out of the city threatens our existence and our activities and our great contribution to the sector and to the economy. And in that way, we don't agree with the thinking that borders should just be removed from the industry. We don't agree with the thinking that borders should be reduced from 200,000 to 7,000, because it just doesn't have a roadmap to it and it's not clear. And it's something that we really want to distance ourselves from. Anything that is against people, it's against us. Okay. And I think any leader must know that any activity that is against people is against you and is against your position. And anything that is pro-people is also for us, and we should stand for it. And I think it's time that we call upon all the other leaders as well to say something about this matter, because the unfortunate reality is that this is not going to happen. Like, no matter what, no matter how long it takes, don't be surprised if borders also raise their voices through all the legal means to make sure that they remain in the city, because the city was made by them. They built the city and they have developed the city. Okay. Right? Borders are key people that have made direct contribution to the development of the city. Some of these people making noise, they have not done anything for the city. I tell you, businesses, media people know that whenever there's an Mauride, you need to jump on a border to be able to get to where you have to go. That is true. That is very important. Business people downtown, the likes of Casita, they know that the people downtown and their members will not be able to transact business without the existence of border. They do delivery, people do meetings, people send documents, people move using borders, because you can't actually drive a car and be able to do all your errands and run your errands. You cannot be able to deliver a cloth, maybe what, like 60,000 shillings in a car, you know, across town. You cannot. You need a border. So border has been a key contributor that actually, to a certain extent, is being ignored. You know, now it's being ignored, and sometimes it saddens me that because we are young and maybe we don't have a godfather, sometimes we are just moved by the wave. You know, border industry as an industry and the people in the border have actually suffered. Remember the time of Koboka. What those young people did to the borders? Real people in the borders who are elected to lead the borders literally manned the entire industry and extorted money from the people. Remember the times of 2010, during this Chitata raid. Yes. What they did to the border riders. I got arrested and detained in one of the offices in Wakaliga. Right? Like, I don't understand. Like, these guys even arrested me and detained me. They arrested me, detained me, and they went through all my phone, did whatever they wanted to do. I got detained for over 4 hours in an office of border. That was around 2014, 2015. These guys detained me. That is how powerful they were. I reached out to police, and police was telling me, you know, those people, their order, their issue comes from above, so I want to stay away. Like a DPC telling me that. You know, like, these are people manning the industry. Now, the reign of Chitata and the rest of the 2020 has kind of gone down, right? Yes. Now you have a reign of what? Is it the same thing again? Against the border raiders? I think it's time this thing needs to stop. Like government needs to treat border as a key player and a key contributor to the betterment of this country. Growth. So among the people that have strongly come out and spoken against this particular one is actually the Lord Mayor, that is Mr. Lukwago, and he has called it very illegal and also gone ahead to say that this is actually a means of government to enrich their pockets. He mentioned and he said it is a cash bonanza for them. What are your thoughts on this? I think if there is any active leader that I actually respect in Kampala, that is pro-people, Lukwago stands to be one of those people that deserves my respect for sure. I'm not saying this because he has raised an issue that actually contributes to part of the things I'm talking about, but it's because historically you have seen him standing for the people. You know, Abatembe, street people, street vendors and all those things. You've always seen him stand for the people. So I think I read his, it's called petition, right? I read his petition, and it has a lot of facts to it as well. And it's the same. Some of the questions that are the same questions that we are raising. Where are the border industry in this activity? How were some of these companies procured? Where is this money going? Where will the rest of the borders go? The discrimination in the activity as well, and the unfairness that is being exercised, the money that is being paid, and the fact that there is no next step for those who are going to be evicted from the industry. And why is it only selective to Kampala? What is it about Kampala that now makes them so much worry about the existence of Boda, so we need to push them out of the CBD?
But interestingly, and I do not know if this particular, if you've come across this particular information, the leaders of Boda riders in Kampala, and that is Mr. Dickson Mujuni, and he's the Secretary General for Boda Kampala Central Division, went ahead and said that what Mr. Elias Lukwago is actually doing is very bad, and he's very wrong to say that such an initiative should be put to a standstill.
Okay, I know Dickson myself. Is a man from Arua. If he said that, I doubt. And maybe he was doing a media stand. Because the conversations I've had with him on phone is different and in person.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
I can confirm to you that. The Dickson I know thinks very differently. He's pro-people. And I really think, I don't know how this affects him, because the borders are the voters of Elias Lukwago. And Elias Lukwago is the Lord Mayor of Kampala.
Yes. And
he's a legal practitioner. Is it called legal practitioner?
Yes.
He's a veteran lawyer. He's someone who is very well informed. I don't actually think Dickson has got moral authority to challenge the move by the Lord Mayor. I don't think so. And if Dickson is saying that, because Dickson, for me, I know you, I think you want to say this outside but not on media, because it just doesn't work for you. I have known you to be pro-people, not against people. So remember, the borders are watching and listening to you. So be careful. If you're also part of the scheme, please let us know, because it might not work for you. You're a young man from Arua. I don't really think, as far as you would, you come from very far across Karumba. I don't think you want to reach in Kampala and start saying borders should be let out of the CBD, when you actually have your own cousins, your own brothers who are actually in the industry, and they will have to go back to Maracha, Arua, Yumbe, and all these districts that actually do not have business. And statistically, I don't know if people know why we are all in Kampala, including some of the people from Kampala. A lot of people from Kampala don't live. Young people from Kampala don't live and go to Arua, but they live and maybe go to Dubai and these other cities. But I don't know if Dickson knows why he left Arua and came all the way to Kampala, or why I left Dokolo and traveled all the way to Kampala, or why some other people left Kabale and came all the way to Kampala. Because all the opportunities, literally, as I conclude, all the opportunities are actually here. When you look at even the money being spent across the country, of every $10 being spent in the country, 7 out of the 10 is being spent in Kampala. That tells you literally almost everything is here. So Dickson, if they send you back to Arua, I'm not sure if you'll be able to make the money that you make in Kampala, and I don't think you'll have the ability to make the noise that you are making right now. So please be fair to the people. Okay, so Mr. Ricky Papa, of course, as we wind up the conversation, allow me to ask, as stakeholders, why you consulted about this particular initiative? So unfortunately, a lot of this discussion are going behind the scene. I've actually done a backtrace to find out which meeting led to this discussion, and I did not find one, because I was finding the minutes and the resolution that led to this activity, and I kind of did not land on one. CHOFA seems to single-handedly promote this activity, which I don't think is bad. I don't think it's very, very bad, but when you engage other key ministers, even around Kampala, you'll get to realize that many of them are not commenting on this particular matter. Either they will say, I don't want to say anything about it, or they will say, go and talk to CHOFA, right? Which puts us in a state, because Ministry of Works and Transport needs to clarify on the activity that is going on, because Ministry of Works and Transport is actually the regulator of borders, not Kampala as it is, because Kampala is an implementer. under Minister of Works and Transport. While we consulted, we have never received any written letter from the office of Honorable Chofa, of State Minister of Kampala. We have not received any official letter from Minister of Works and Transport over the same matter.
So is that as Safe Boda or the Boda businesses in general, or you're speaking for Safe Boda?
I don't think you will talk about the Boda industry and you exclude Safe Boda.
Okay. Because
we are the single most organized, lenient, and prepared group of people in Kampala. We represent the goodwill and the good interest of the industry.
Okay.
We are a true representation of the future of the Boda industry. So there is no way you'll talk about the Boda industry and exclude Safe Bodas, because we are people who have been in the industry, we are pro-industry, we are for the industry, and we are here to stay.
Absolutely. Well, CEO Ricky Papa right there giving some bulango for Safe Boda and saying, yes, they are the future of the Boda industry. Well, finally, and I don't think I would be doing justice to this conversation if I did not ask this very many times. And even in the conversation that I had with my colleague Priva Elibaz, some of the tweets did highlight that Bodas, and we know this, even the Uganda police report between the period of 2019 and 2020 did highlight that Bodas are accountable for actually criminal activities in Kampala. The latest one being the LC3 chairperson, that is Mr. James Kakoza, who was murdered by people riding on a Boda, which up to now cannot be traced. Of course, may his soul rest in eternal peace. What are your thoughts and sentiments towards Bodas being accused of the high levels of crime in Kampala City?
Criminality manifests itself in different ways. First is I want to extend my sympathy to the families who have lost their beloved ones.
Yes.
To criminal actors and players who use motorcycles. It's actually, and this is something for you, and I want you to help be pro-industry, that if a crime was committed by a motorcycle, please say motorcycle. Mm-hmm. Because Boda as it is a motorcycle taxi rider, not just someone who is riding about a Bajaj and a TVS or a Hero on the street. Our motorcycle criminals, I think they're criminals who are using motorcycles that look like the one of that Bodas
they're masquerading.
To actually commit crime, and that is sad. And we all condemn it, and we call upon security to continue to work closely with some of the key players in the industry in combating the crime. It is bad, because as you can hear that it happened somewhere else, you might think it is far away, but when it's actually very close to you becoming a victim or adding it to the numbers. So we are not for that, and it saddened us to see some of these activities and criminal actors using our motorcycles that we use very well for transporting people. Government did an alteration, an arrangement in making sure that the motorcycle taxi or the Bodas can be clearly identified by making sure the number plates are actually different from the one that are not for motorcycle taxi business. I don't know if you've noticed the difference between the white plate
yes.
And the other yellow plate. The yellow plate are for private riders like you, if you want to have a Boda.
Yes, while the white one
want to have a bike, and then the white one are for people who are interested in doing business, and we pay for that. I think annually you have to pay some tax for owning that number plate. Now, what do I have to say about this? I think really fighting crime is not a one-man's game. It's everybody's responsibility. We have cameras all over Kampala. That also needs to play its role. We have people who might actually be around. And we really say that if you've seen any of this and if you've witnessed any of it, if you can record, please record. If you can take some note of a number plate or something, please do. If you are aware and you've heard of a conversation that led to that kind of activity, please also communicate to the authorities and to police, because these things are extremely important for combating crime and fighting criminality in the different communities. It is sad that whenever these incidences happen, we are dragged in, but we want to stand out to say that we are not the criminal actors. We are just victims of circumstance.
Okay.
As Safe Boda, I want to highlight something very important, that from 2014, 2015, we have been saying We want ourselves to be new group of people. That's why safe borders, you don't address them as border borders. You address them as safe borders. This is very important. That's why you see us with our reflectors. I come on a show like this, even with my reflector on, just to show people that, you know, this is who we are. Our reflector are properly branded. On the back, we actually write the name, which had never existed in the industry. I actually even bet that if they start writing your name on your clothes, you might have issues with it. But for us, we wear it on our reflector. On the helmet, we actually go ahead to make sure we number them. Properly branded, one single color, and we number them. Those numbers are unique identities for our riders. People have never actually interrogated and asked, why do we have numbers on a customer reflector? Why do we have the same numbers on a driver helmet? And why is it that even on a driver helmet, you have numbers in 3 different locations? I don't know if you've realized that. On the back, on the left side, and on the right side. The reason is we don't want to miss anything in case of any situation. Because we don't want someone to say, I was not able to see. If a customer was wearing a helmet, you can see. If the driver was wearing a helmet, you can see either from the left or from the right or from the back. And this is all aimed at fighting criminality.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Ricky Papa, for joining us this morning on Sunrise at Sea. We truly appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, that winds up the conversation that we had for you this morning in regard to the registration of border riders. Of course, that comes at a time when they were given a 6-month ultimatum to get registered. Up next is Beauty, Wellness and Lifestyle, and Priva Elibaz talks ocular hypertension. If these words sound new to your ears, this is a segment that you should definitely stick around and watch. Keep watching Sunrise at Sea and don't blink.